Good morning, girls. Today we're going to be learning volumes of pyramids, cones, and spheres. Okay, so I've written down the formulas here. So basically, if you want to find the volume of a pyramid, it's a third times the area of the base times the perpendicular height. Okay, same thing for cone. Find the area, so it's a third times the area of the circle, which is pi r squared, times by the perpendicular height, and that's the volume formula for a sphere. Okay, all these formulas will be given to you in the formula sheet, so there's no need to worry about that, but you just got to know how to use it. Alright, so let's have a look at some of your exercise questions to begin with. So let's have a look at the first question here. It's a pyramid, so let's start with a formula, a third AH. So you start with a third, and now to find the area of the base, as you can see by these 4 dashes, is a square. So that's just, the area of this is then just 8 times A. So that's your area, and the height is obviously just 9, and that should give you the answer. And the units would be centimeters cubed because it's volume. Okay? Let's do the same thing for question 1D. It's still a pyramid, so I'm going to start with the formula. But in this instance, starting with a third, the area of the base is a triangle. So you actually need to find the area of the triangle at the bottom here. And we know the area of the triangle, put in a bracket, is half times base times height. Yeah? So in this case, the base is 18. Times by the height of the triangle is given 14, and then times all of it by the height or the perpendicular height of the pyramid, which is times by 8. All right, so if you put all of this in the calculator, you don't have to put in the bracket 6 cubic meters. Okay, all right, now let's have a look at a slightly more harder problem. So you're given this pyramid, but the perpendicular height is not given, which you need to find using Pythagoras theorem. So they've given you a lot of options here, and the easiest option that I can find to use to find the perpendicular height is this triangle right here. Okay? Can you see that right triangle here inside the pyramid? Okay? So what I want to find is that length x, yeah? We know that's 116, which is the height outside on the surface of the pyramid. Now, we need this length as well. Now to find that length, we're given this whole thing to be 160. So that means this is half of 160, which is 80. Okay? So now that we have the numbers, let's find x. So x squared is equal to the hypotenuse, 116 squared, take away 80 squared, because we're finding the shorter length. And then if I square root that, 84. All right, so the perpendicular height is 84. Now we can use the formula. So the volume of this pyramid is a third times the area, which in this case is a rectangle, 160 times 126, times the perpendicular height, which I've just found to be 84. Okay? This big number and the units. Okay? So just a quick note, like you can find x using that triangle, but you can also find x using the triangle in the front. You will get the same number, but it's just a bit more harder to see that triangle, so you can use either triangle, it's up to you. All right, let's have a look at this problem here. Same thing, find the volume of this cone, but once again, the perpendicular height in the middle is not given, so let's call that x and find it. So it's the same thing as what I've done here. So the hypotenuse is there, the radius is there, so I'll get straight into it. So x is equal to square root of 7 squared, take away 5 squared. Now, I'm going to look at the question to see if they want the question in exact value, because it is important to look out for these things. So question 4a, nope, it just says to find 1 decimal place, so that's fine, I can round that off. So that means this is 4.9, so the volume is a third times the area of the circle at the bottom is pi times the radius squared, which is 5, and times by the perpendicular height, which I've just found, centimeters cubed. Okay, let's have a look at question 5b. It says to find the volume and the capacity. Alright, so the formula is right there. So it's just a matter of plugging this in. As we know, this is the diameter because that's the whole thing. We don't want that. So radius is obviously half of that, which is 5.5. So the volume is just simply 4/3 pi times 5.5 cubed, okay? 9 meters cubed. Now, if they also want this in capacity, which the question asks, remember 1 kiloliter is 1 cubic meter. So in this case, this is the same thing as writing 696.9 kiloliter, okay? They didn't specify what capacity units they want, like liters or milliliters. So for instance, you could just leave the answer like that if this was a question, but if they specified and you wanted to change this into liters, obviously times the answer by 1,000, and if you want it in milliliter, times by 1,000 again, okay, which I won't do, but I'll just leave it here. I'm going to go through question 11, which a lot of you girls struggle to do when it comes to questions where you've got to work backwards. Let's have a look at question 11. It says a cone has a volume of 160 cubic centimeters and a perpendicular height of 20 centimeters. Sorry, centimeters, not meters. Okay. Calculate correct decimal place its radius. All right, so we're given the volume. So let's start with the volume formula of a cone, which is a third pi r squared h. So from here, we know that number, it's 160. A third pi, let's write that down. Now, this is what we're trying to find. So I'm just going to write r squared, but everything is multiplied. So I'm going to write times. And we also know the height, which is 20. So from here, what you want to do is you actually want to put everything in the calculator that you know which has numbers. So you want to put in the calculator a third pi times 20. Okay? Because if you do that, you'll get this, 20.9. All right, and then now you get to just write r squared next to it. So what I've just found is those numbers evaluated as a number, so I can just write the letter next to it. So it's just algebra now. 20.9 r squared, so we want to get rid of this number now, so divide it under. So 160 over 20.9 is equal to r squared. Now the final step is to get rid of the squared, which you just do by square rooting it, okay? And evaluating this whole thing will get you the answer, which is, all right. So this is how you would do questions like this. If you wanted a more accurate version, instead of writing 20.9, you could have written 160 divided by a third pi times 20. Okay, so that is the same thing as writing that. It's the same thing if you want it to be more accurate, but either way is fine. All right. Okay, girls, so that should be enough to get you through the rest of the exercise. Give the exercise a go and let me know if you have any questions on Google Classroom. Thanks.